Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my podcast, Live Your Best Life Every Day. My name is Stefan Dajo, and today we're going to be talking about hitting rock bottom. Stay tuned. So many people are unable to achieve who they are trying to achieve just because they are too attached to who they have always been. Have you ever heard of someone say, "This is how I've always been. This is what I've always done. This is how I've always done it. This is the way that I am or have always been," in an attempt to justify themselves? Or perhaps to try to explain why they are doing something the way that they are doing it. Meanwhile, they could be doing it in a better way or in a different way altogether. I'm pretty sure you've had conversation with people where they have used who they are or perhaps the way they've always done things as a justification. But let me tell you this, there is no way you can move forward in life or achieve anything with that thought process. When you hit rock bottom, it's actually a place where you ought to self-reflect and ask yourself, could things be the way they are because of the way that I am? What one thing can I improve or perhaps work on that can change everything? Because until you ask yourself those questions, you will never be able to figure out where you are investing your time and where you are wasting it. You have to ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? What am I doing with me? Am I moving forward or am I regressing? And so many people are avoiding that these days. They will rather blame everything. They will rather look away. They will rather pretend that the pink elephant is not in the room instead of trying to figure out what it is that they have to do or that they could change or work on. It's said that change can come like the weather, with the possibility of staying forever. But the gag is, that depends on how bad you want things turned around. The amount of effort you produce and what you are willing to unlearn will determine how far you will go in your pursuit to achieve that person that you want to achieve. Because here's one thing, it's almost like you trying to close a door, right? And you're trying to open a new one. Until you let go of the previous one, like let's say, until you let go of the door that you're trying to close, you won't be able to reach the one that you're trying to open. Better yet, until you fully close the door that you are trying to close, you won't be able to enter the realm that awaits you behind the other door, because your hand is still attached to the previous door. So you have to let go of something. You have to unlearn something, because us as human beings, we have this way of being entrenched in a certain way of doing things, and it becomes dogmatic, it becomes religious. We do things religiously, we do things repetitively without even asking ourselves if that's how we are supposed to do it. And of course, the more we do it, the more we get comfortable doing that and staying there. And of course, one day we get surprised when we find ourselves at that lowest place. And that's something that we really have to reflect on and think on. Because it's really something that is happening to a lot of people out there. And many people have wasted their lives because of that. At some point, we've all been to that lowest place. We've all been there. Like, life is going to come at you whether you want it or no. No one is spared from that. Life happens to everyone. Sometimes life is going to come so hard at you that's going to knock you down. But what you have to keep in mind is, it is not a fatality. It is not the end. You do not have to stay there. You have it within you to stand up and build your life all together again. As long as you are alive, there is hope. And this is a message that I'm trying to get out there because, it really hits home. Many people out here are struggling and are giving up at the age of success just because they have faced that last encounter and they feel like, oh no, it's never going to happen. But let me break this to you. When the going gets harder, it means that something is awaiting. And when you're already going through hell, just keep on going because it can only get better. Another truth is this. Many people hit the rock bottom because they are afraid of failure. And you cannot live your life with a spirit of fear. You cannot live your life with a mindset of fear. You need to have a sound mind. Because the moment you are afraid of something, you give it power. So if you are afraid of failing, guess what you do? You empower failure. And that will eventually happen. And when it does, you will think it's the end. Contrary to what people think, failing at something, failing at something does not mean that you're a failure. It simply means that it didn't work. And perhaps you need to change your approach, change your perspective, maybe change the way you think or the way you look at things, or go for something else altogether. But at the end of the day, this is what the game of life is made of. And the reason why I like to use the expression game of life, because that's what it is. Life is a game, and there are sets of rules. And unless you step in the game, you won't be able to live your best life. Learn the rules so that you can be able to use them to your advantage. My advice is this: wherever you are at right now, whatever low place you've hit, I want you to keep in mind and to tell yourself on a daily basis that it is not definitive. That's not the end. Believe me, I know it may feel like it's the end. It may feel like there is no way out. It may feel like you are cornered. It may feel like that's it. But trust me and trust yourself. If you trust yourself enough that you can take yourself out of that, you will be able to achieve that. It's all about how bad do you want it? How strong is your willpower? How often do you empower yourself? You need self-motivation. Because sometimes when you hit that particular place, there won't be anyone around you to tell you to get up and get going. I like to call that a period of transitions. And during the transition, if you try running away from situations, if you try running away from what you are supposed to give attention to, at the end of the day, you're going to face yourself wherever it is that you are running to. And that's the saddest thing. You will face yourself because you may run for years, but when you get there, you're going to face yourself. That self that you are running away from, because that's something that is undealt with. That's the reason why I'm always encouraging people through my podcast. I'm always saying, learn to process things, learn to deal with things, learn to learn. Learn to learn. Take advantage of where you are at. That low place may seem like it's the end of everything, but it's something that you can learn out of that. Start asking yourself, instead of, why is this happening to me? Try to figure out how you can benefit from that happening for you. Do you get my point? Although it's happening to you, your mindset should be, how can I benefit from this as it is happening for me? What can I gain out of that in terms of knowledge, in terms of strength, in terms of strategy, and so on? Because at the end of the day, it is an experience. And like I said earlier, are you going to waste your experience, or are you going to utilize them to invest into the future that you want to see? There is no way you can move forward if you are holding on to the past. There is no way you can move forward if you are still afraid of failing. Failure is going to come at many stages in your life. It could be in your love life, your career life. It could be in your project life. If you are an entrepreneur, this is one of the reasons why business owners and entrepreneurs, I salute them. You have no idea of how many times they have failed. And when we see them being successful, we think that they had it all figured out from the first go. No, it didn't happen that way. There were many failed attempts. But when your willpower is strong enough, when you believe in yourself hard enough, when you want it as bad as you want to breathe, believe me, you're going to be able to achieve who you are trying to achieve. Don't forget, it is your narrative. And you are the narrator. I can tell you that on the way to achieve whatever it is that you are trying to become, you're going to have to let go of a lot of things. You may have to cut ties with many people. You might have to burn some bridges. But the saving grace is this. It's for the elevation of your thought process, and it's for your future self. At the end of the day, so we are creatures of fulfillment. And until we fulfill that which we have in mind, we will be frustrated. The reality is the graveyard is filled with so many people with dreams. You know? The graveyard is filled with people with so many people who had dreams. But the difference between you and them is that you get to live another day. Meaning that you have the opportunity to work towards that dream and make it come true. No matter how hard the goings get. Yes, life's gonna come at you, but guess what? While you are down on your knees, you gather your strength, you get your strategy together, you get your perspective in check, and you get up and you get going. It is not over until you say so. It is your life. Nobody's gonna live it for you. No one can breathe through your nose. Therefore, no one can live your life for you. You have to live it for yourself. And what you have to keep in mind is this. Life doesn't come with a remote control. So you have to get up and change things yourself. So how bad do you want it? Do you want it as bad as you want to breathe? Do you want it as bad as you want to live? Because if you want to live your best life every day, you need to go the extra mile. You need to go the extra mile. So quit just talking about it. Quit just wishing for it. And go for it. It's action time. And that's it for today. Share this with whoever you think needs to hear this. Again, this platform is about getting the word out there and staying real. Let's start telling each other what we need to tell each other in order to grow, rather than telling each other what is sweet melodies to our ears. That's it. Let's bring back the culture of talking to each other and talking sense to each other, instead of this culture of, oh, I'm minding my own business. Whatever happens to the other person is none of my business. It is your business. We are human beings. Let's bring that back. Let's bring back the essence of being human beings. You can do it. And if you've done it, you can empower somebody else to do the same thing. You can empower somebody else to get up when they are down there. You can motivate somebody else. Many people come at me and ask me, Stefan, what do you care so much about other people? But at the end of the day, because somebody cared for me at some point in my life. Somebody empowered me at some point in my life. Somebody encouraged me at some point in my life. Why shouldn't I do the same for other people? What does it cost me to do the same thing? If you are truly happy and established in your life, what does it cost you to empower somebody else to be happy and established? That's a question you need to start asking yourself. If you see somebody going through self-destruction and you can do or say something about it, why not? If you've been down that path, if you have experienced that and learned from it, what does it cost you to give a tip to somebody on how perhaps to deal with that particular situation? Because that's what I'm doing here on this platform. That's what it is about. And this is the reason why I'm inviting any of you who would like to share some words, experience, tips with the world or with the listeners of this podcast to reach out to me. And let's make it happen. Let's get in the habit and the mindset of giving back. It doesn't cost us anything. And you don't know how many lives you may have saved in the process. Well, my name is Stefan Dajo. And again, this is Live Your Best Life Every Day. So get out there. Keep showing up. And keep showing off. Because you can. And you have it within. Get up and get going. Have a good day.